Let's go! I'm Michael Hoskinson, your host. I'm with K9 Control, and as always, this is K9 Convos. This is where we sit back and we just talk dog. I'm going to talk dog with other trainers, with PD dogs, canine officers. I've got some DPS. I got DPS guys on board. Is going to come here and sit down with us and talk about what he does with his dogs. His dog is. He's got the craziest name. I'm trying to remember it. I lose it right now, though. But, it's Brad Pitt. I kid you not. His Mal's name is Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt stacks dope like nobody's business. Brad Pitt has the record number of pounds of drugs that have been confiscated in Texas, and he beats like the next 4 dogs combined. It's amazing. So we're going to get him in here to talk about the stuff that he does and some of that fun stuff. But we're also going to talk with some of my clients, and we're just going to talk stories about what they've been through, what they're doing, the system that we use, and then how that portrays to them and their dog and their life and what they've been able to achieve and do. And today we have a client here. This is a special guest because she also is super big in rescue. Super, super big in rescue. And what's so funny is normally you ask me, hey Michael, I've got someone that needs some help. They're a foster. They do rescue. I normally look at that and go, they are the softest people in the world. They have the biggest hearts. They are the kindest people, and they are convinced they're going to just love that dog into submission. It's going to love me so much. I'm going to take care of everything for you. You'll never have a bad day again. And it's really kind of counterproductive to some of the behavioral issues sometimes when you're trying to get dogs over. So, again, with no further ado, this is Michele.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Awesome. I would just like you to tell us a little bit about your rescues and what you do with them.
Well, sure. So I'm with Good Shepherd Rescue, and we are, I think, the only remaining German Shepherd Rescue in North Texas. We've been around. This is our 25th year. So we actually started back in 1999. I've only been with the rescue since 2021, early 2021. And the only reason I felt comfortable to even step up and start fostering was I had hired Michael for my rescue, Trapper, who I got from the Euless Animal Shelter. And Michael taught me this is my 9th dog, Trapper is, and I never had a trainer before. I also never took my dogs anywhere. I live on a large property, and we were just happy just to be out in the yard all the time. But going to the vet once a year was traumatic because they didn't know how to walk on a leash, and I didn't know how to train them to do that. So anyway, I retired in 2020 when I rescued Trapper.
Oh, you braggers. I got to stop having all these retired people on.
That's why I have time to work with the rescue. So then I hired Michael to work with Trapper and I and saw just the potential. Now I could take him places. Yeah. I could do things. I felt so much more confident in my dog handling skills, which were non-existent before that. And that's when I decided I'm going to go back to the shelter that I got Trapper from and see if there's a shepherd or a dog there that needs rescue. And that's where it got started from. And then I moved over to Good Shepherd Rescue in the early part of 2021. Nice. And since then, Trapper and I have rescued, fostered, and trained over 40 dogs.
It's crazy.
Yes, I know.
I mean, that is, I can't even fathom that. That's a ton.
That's a lot of dogs. Sometimes I do more than one at a time.
Right? Mm-hmm. So what's so amazing, though, when people come and they adopt those dogs, how well trained are they?
They're very well trained.
Oh, no. They're not getting trained dogs, are they?
They are.
Isn't that crazy?
If they stay in my foster home. Not all fosters train.
They don't.
But mine...
Not all fosters are created equal.
Right. And I have a reputation within our rescue to have very well-rounded, balanced, confident dogs. They don't start off that way.
No.
When they come to me, and I have them anywhere from, it's usually about 3 months to 6 months that they live with myself and Trapper, and of course Tanner, who's a foster fail. As well. So Tanner's mine and Trapper is mine as well. And together it's amazing that the dogs teach the dogs.
Man,
You know,
we're gonna probably. I want to definitely want to touch on that later too, because that's one of those things that we're gonna debunk. That's why one reason I started the podcast was to debunk a bunch of the stuff that you see out there. Social media's got so crazy, and it's everywhere, and it's in your face, and all these ads, and just do this and just do that, and it's just like, I got to get out there and let people know honestly what's going on, how it really, really works. So it's funny that you talk about those dynamics between dogs as they come in and how that looks, but I am always impressed with your story. I tell your story to a ton of my clients. I'm like, this girl just brings them in, she trains them, and then she gets them into a home. How much? So this is funny. So there's several ladies that do the rescue, right?
Yes.
Because I think it's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 or 4 of you that I train dogs with, but they are not as active with training the dogs that they foster.
Correct.
But you are super. It's like taking on it's like what you're doing right now in life, right? It's like kind of your season of, hey, I'm going to save as many of these puppies as I can. How quickly, once you put your dogs up for adoption, do they go?
It depends. Again, it's slow. It's been slow this summer. So, like I said, 3 months to 6 months is what I average. If it's a puppy, sometimes a week.
Yeah.
You know, it's easier to get the puppies out. The 4-year-old that I had most recently, Bodie, that one took 3 months. Dayla took 6 months because she needed FHO surgery.
Yeah.
So she was on medical hold for a while. And so not only was I training her, I had to rehab her. And I hadn't had to rehab a dog with the FHO surgery ever. So now I have that experience.
Yep. You've had a couple experiences.
Yeah.
I think we had did you have an aggressive one not too long ago?
Yes, I had an aggressive one that...
Okay, so this is unique, so people need to hear this. It's like, so, I mean, you've gone through, let's say, 30 dogs? Not even counting the ones like you've had in the past, and then all of a sudden you get one and it's like a super aggressive. It's like, didn't see that one coming, huh?
No.
But see, that just shows you, it's just, every dog is different. Behaviorally speaking, you're going to have different issues and problems. And it's always like, well, I didn't see that coming. Wow, well, that's a new one, right? Yeah. And that's what people have to understand for everybody out there. Every dog is different. You can have 6 dogs and be like, oh, they're the best dog, and get the 7th one. You're like, what's wrong with this one? It's not. And you don't normally reach out to me and ask me many questions, but on that one, you were like, all right, I got questions, right?
Yeah.
And that's what people have to understand is when you get to that point where you're frustrated, concerned, or worried about a dog and its behavior, don't stop. Reach out. You got to find someone that can help you, someone that's got the knowledge and understanding of what's going on so that we can fix the problem and keep the dog in the home. So it's crazy, but I'm super proud of what you do. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's if you're looking for a purpose and you love dogs, and you have a nice home and you can open up your heart, volunteer with any rescue. Volunteer with a shelter. Take the dog home for a weekend. Take him over Labor Day weekend when nobody's at the shelter. Take him out for a day trip. The Humane Society, I think Fort Worth Animal Shelter, I know my local shelters are just begging for people to come. It helps with the socialization of the dog. It helps so that we know more about the dog outside of that little cell that they're in the shelter. And you can make such a difference, not only in the dog's life, but in the new home that they go to. People are just so thrilled to have a great dog. And I love getting pictures and hearing from the people who have adopted my fosters. It's just very heartwarming and just to know that you did something really, really good.
It's that thing, giving back. You get as much out of it as the dog does,
Get
right?
more.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely good stuff. Let's talk about surrender.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked by it. You had sent me some stats like Dallas.
Dallas Animal Services.
So it was like 635 dogs. Was that a month?
Yeah. You can go to the Dallas Animal Services website, and they have a daily counter that tells you how many dogs were surrendered at the shelter or strays that were picked up on a daily basis. And then how many actually were returned back to their owners. Thank God they had a chip, or the owners reached out to the shelters because they knew they lost their dog. And then how many are unfortunately euthanized because of space? And every shelter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm sure across Texas, is over capacity. They've got dogs in kennels in the hallway because they don't have enough space.
Yeah, that. I mean, I don't remember exactly. I remember the number 635, and I don't remember if that was for that day or if that. But it literally took me back. I was like, what? That's an amazing amount, and it's scary. It's sad.
Yeah, we get over 30 emails a day from people who want to surrender their dog.
Okay, what is their number one reason for wanting to surrender?
I don't know if there's a number one. Behavior is a big one.
Okay.
A lot of them got the dog as a puppy, and I think we all know how cute German Shepherd puppies are. Mm-hmm. And then at about 4 months old, they turn into dinosaurs.
Yep, little gremlins.
And then at about 2 years old, they settle down. So it's that period between 4 months and 2 years where I think people go, yeah, we didn't do our research on this breed. We had no idea the physical and mental needs for these dogs. I didn't know it was going to get this big. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them are the behavior, and I think it's due a lot to people just not researching the breed before they decide to adopt or purchase a breed. So there's also people, times are tough. People are being evicted. Landlords change, and you might have had an agreement with a landlord, and now the new landlord says no, or you may have never asked permission, and then the landlord found out. Yeah. People go to jail. I actually volunteer inside of a prison, and a lot of the guys I talked to, had to leave their dogs behind. And who takes care of that dog if a family member doesn't step up? A lot of dogs, people move, and the place they're moving to won't take dogs, or they leave the dogs in the yard, and a neighbor calls us.
Yeah, I've seen some of those scary ones before. It's ridiculous.
People, go into assisted living.
Sure.
And then the family is dealing with an aging parent, and nobody can take the dog. Sure. And you can't be harsh on somebody who is now in assisted living, and so we really try and help in those situations. But the ones where it's just like, this is getting too expensive, and we just had a baby, and a dog lives about 12 or 14 years.
Excuses. Like they didn't realize this coming into it. It's a living, breathing animal that's going to need cared for.
And vet bills, and
bills
food,
have got expensive.
And
okay, let's go back and talk behavioral, because that's kind of what I do. How many people do you think utilize things like free YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram videos as their primary training?
If they even do that.
It's getting worse.
Yeah. So, like myself, I had 8 dogs before I had Trapper, and I never hired a trainer, and I don't even recall, the internet wasn't around as much back then. I don't even know that I would have thought to go out and ask for help. I just
So what? Unfortunately, what we get into, and probably 35% of the dogs that I train are rescue. And the thing I tell everybody when we're talking on the phone and talking through these things is, I will, because most of them are like, man, it's a 1-year-old dog. It's really doing good, but I can see where it's going. We're gonna need some help. And I'm always like, I'm gonna tell you right now. One, the honeymoon's not over. It's going to take a couple, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for that dog to settle in. Then you're going to really start to see the dog's personality. But the thing is, I always tell them, I was like, no one ever surrenders or doesn't go get a good dog.
Right.
It's coming with something. Unless you have a puppy, a young puppy, it's coming with some baggage. And I think that's what's hard for people is once they get that and they get it in home, their first thing is like, well, they'll ask their neighbor, what your dog's doing? What'd you do for it? And they're like, well, I did this and this. Oh, and it might work for a day or two, and then it doesn't work anymore. And then it's all of a sudden it's like, well, it's always, I'll just Google it. I'm just like, oh, for many sakes, people, the Google is not going to get it done for you. If people just understood that, again, this podcast is designed to open up and pull the curtains back on dog training. I will use a treat you know me, I'm not a huge treat trainer, but I will use food motivation whenever needed. I have zero problem with that. The problem is all these people that have all these TikToks and Instagram posts and all these YouTube channels, they're getting it for clicks. It's all about the clicks. It's all about monetizing. It's all about seeing how many followers they have. And they will make the most outlandish claims and tell you the most outlandish and crazy things to do and try because it sensationalizes it. And it's like, oh, wow, look at that. And it's lovey and it's dovey. And they play on the heartstrings of people and they play on those emotions that if you just do this, your dog's going to look just like this one. And what people never understand is it's a 45-second video. It's a 45-second video. You don't know anything about what's going on. And it happens on my page all the time. And you've seen some of the feedback. It's like, oh, that dog it's fearful. It's shut down. It's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how do you pick up all of that from 60 seconds in a video? You have no idea about the dog, the personality, any of that. That's how much does the personality of the dog play into actually training a dog?
They're all different.
Is it that crazy?
Yeah.
But aren't they all German Shepherds?
Yeah.
Oh, but they're all different.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, people have to understand. And that's one of the things, the longer you're around this and doing this, you're going to find its personality that you're training off of. So have you been able to identify like, oh, you're kind of like this dog. And this dog responded really well to X and Y. So I'm going to use X and Y with you. Is there anything you don't use on your dogs, on your rescues, as far as training? Like, obviously we have treats, we have clicker training, we have positive reinforcement, we have e-collars, we have pinch collars, we have all these different. Do you limit how you train, or do you base what you're doing with your dogs based on what motivates them?
Well, since as soon as I get the dog, I want to start building that bond with them. And I also want to
100%.
establish that I'm the leader of the pack. Although my dogs tend to do that as well. But so I start right away with a prong collar, and I do the heel walk. I train them on a leash. Many of them have never been on a leash, or they just don't know how to walk on a leash. They're a drunken sailor. They're a yo-yo. And I have a long driveway on my property, and I just walk a couple times a day, 5 minutes at a time. I do 5 steps and sit, and 5 steps and sit. Sometimes I'll do 10 steps. Sometimes I don't go the whole length of the driveway. But that's what I do initially to start to bond with the dog and to teach the dog that I'm the one in charge. And it also teaches them how to walk on a leash.
How to walk on a leash properly.
And usually within the first day, and they forget the second day, and then we start over. But by the third day, I've got the dog walking in a heel position and listening to me, and to where I'm not even using commands anymore.
Okay, so hold on.
It's just all nonverbal.
Hold on, you're a liar. You got to be. How much wine have you had? Is that the third bottle?
Yeah, no.
Okay, no way.
It's easy.
No,
it can't be. It is easy.
It can't be easy. It can't be. It's too hard.
I know.
There's no way you can take a dog that's untrained, doesn't know how to walk, and in 3 days have it walking.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Ask anybody in the world.
So
Let me ask you this, though. Whose techniques do you use to do that?
The techniques I learned from you.
Bam. Buy the video on my website. It'll teach you the same thing. It's super easy.
I show other people, other friends that aren't Michael's clients that we walk with sometimes. I just show them. I like, you don't have to be pulled around like that. Your dog should not be reacting like that. You can shut that. Do not accept that behavior. And it's easy. And some, the puppies are a little bit more motivated by treats.
Sure. Yeah.
And I use food. I use the kibbles because I don't want my dogs to get fat.
Right.
And so, but the adult dogs don't usually need treats. I like to use praise. So I love on them. And so we take 5 steps and sit. And, this little girl I have right now, Classy, I didn't think I was ever going to get her to sit. I almost had to call you. And I don't know what her background was. She was found in Crandall, Texas. And she's the most beautiful dog and very, very smart. And I didn't know, how did you teach a dog to sit when they've never been taught to sit? And I didn't want to be pushing her down or anything. And I waited and waited and waited, and I was, correcting her. And then I thought, well, let me just tap her butt and say sit. And I tapped her butt, and she sat. So I don't know if she had been taught that way, or I don't know if I got lucky, but I was like, oh my God, hallelujah. And then we just kept up with that. And now she sits, and she knows if she wants attention from me, she sits, and she goes to the door and she sits.
Well, it's funny. It becomes a go-to because the praise from you, the big dog, the leader, the alpha in the pack, that's what the dog's working for, to be told by you. You did a great job. I'm so proud of you. Way to go. So now, like, even if it gets in trouble or anytime it doesn't really know what to do, it just sits. Like, you like this one, right? I'll do this one.
I hadn't thought about that. That must be why she's doing that, because she's so funny. And so I always praise her and rub her belly and tell her what a good girl she is. But and now I take her out for walks. I love this little girl. She loves nature. And she's got a nose on her. I allow her. I know you don't like it. But she is a scent tracking dog, and we have explored areas in different parks that I've never seen before because I just let her lead the way. She's not pulling or tugging on me. She is sniffing. She's interested. She spends a lot of time. I know it's really working her mentally, and I just have so much fun with her when I go out into nature.
Okay,
she just loves it.
So let's back up, and we're going to talk about it because it's super important to understand this. I am very anti-sniff walk. Do not like sniff walks because what happens is that the dog is definitely not thinking about the handler.
Right.
It's thinking about everything it's smelling, where it wants to go. It's following the rabbit track back to this little burrow to kill bunnies probably. But so it's not engaged with the human. It's engaged with being a dog, which is fine. What we need to understand though is you also are able to pull the dog into a nice heel and walk on a loose leash. If you need to walk the dog in a heel, you put in a heel, you put your leash in your pocket, the dog's not pulling out, it's not barking, it's not lunging, it's not doing anything stupid. You're not getting your arm yanked out of your socket. I would also be willing to bet, and again, this is why this is fun, because, something happened the other day and I was wrong with Troy. I was like, it was the first time this year I've been wrong. Unless you ask my wife, it's probably been many. But no, so do you give her a command and let her know when it's time for the sniff walk, or does she get to choose when she does her sniff walk?
Well, I know I'm supposed to give her a command. I don't always. And I do that also with Trapper. He likes to sniff walk too, but when I walk him and Tanner together, Tanner's all about the walk. He's working, and Tanner wants to pee on everything.
Right.
So there are parts of the walk when we're around trees and stuff where I say, you're free. And Tanner and I just wait while Trapper does his thing. Yeah. And then we walk. But there are times also when I want to continue walking and Trapper tries to veer off to the trash can.
Sure.
And I pull him back on the, I gently,
not now, boy.
I don't even
Not
have
now.
to, it's just like, no. And he gets back in line and he and Tanner are walking in front of me up on my hands-free leash. So
see, the big thing for me is, where can you not take your dogs? Have you found a spot yet?
No.
Like, you take your dogs a lot of places.
Trapper's excited about going back to school Monday.
Right? But there's and when you say school, what school?
Texas Christian University.
Oh, so it's going to be an actual school. It's not like dog school.
No, he's going
back to school.
He already sent all my students an email today that said, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday, and I love belly rubs. So. What?
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, I know.
I know, because he's a well-behaved dog.
Yes.
Now, this is why I get a little, and again, am I here to tell you you're doing it wrong? No, because it's working for you, so if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, what a lot of dogs want to do is, like, when you get into those outside venues, little parks, the winery, places like that, dogs are like, well, they let me pee anytime I want to. Then I get that marking thing going on. I don't want to go to Home Depot, and I'm walking through Home Depot, and the dog's like, oh, I'm going to go mark on this. The marking territory, especially for male dogs on walks, is huge, and that's all Tanner's doing. Is he's like, everything tall
Trapper.
he wants, or Trapper, he wants to go over there and pee on.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. If I don't have the problem, she can take him into the school and he's not peeing all over everything. It's not a big deal, right? Yeah. And he's not a reactive dog anyway. He could care less when another dog walks by. But you have worked and trained to the level and point where you can allow him more freedom to do more things and still have complete control of him if need be.
Yep.
So the dog's never dictating a bad outcome. He's just always there. It's just part of your day, part of the walk and what's going on. And that's what people have to understand is, I'm super anti no dog in the bed, no dog on the couch. But if you're not having behavioral problems, I really don't care. It's not presenting an issue. As soon as I start having behavioral problems, what I have to do is I have to backtrack.
Yeah.
I have to figure out why we're having the behavioral issue and then go, okay, this, and this are contributing to it. I need to get rid of those. And that's stuff like, nudge and bump and push and paw, and getting on your bed, sleeping with you, getting on the couch, stuff like that. So it's important for people to know that. And depending on what I want from my dog and where I want to go with it, what problems I'm having, really depends on how strict I need to be with the dog.
Right.
But would you say being more strict on your dog has allowed your dogs to have more freedom?
Yes. Yes.
Where did your dogs prior to me helping you with the dog go? The vet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's probably terrifying for him.
Yeah.
It's like everybody was
And
like,
for me.
oh, shit, vet's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Xanax for us all.
Speaking of the drugs, I hate the drugs. And I can't tell you how many of the owner surrender dogs that I've gotten that when the dog is brought to my home through a third party, we don't ever actually meet the people who are surrendering. They give me the trazodone and the gabapentin. And
Yep.
I'm like, what the hell? Oh, well, the dog's very anxious, and the dog has to have this to go out. And I just stick it in a drawer.
Yep. And you take it later?
Yeah.
That's why I always tell
sits in a
people
drawer.
when they give the dog Valium, I said, it's for you. It's not for the dog. Guarantee you.
But within a few days of having room to run, so a lot of that is because they just are locked up in a crate all day long or in a very small backyard. And these are German Shepherds. They have room to run and play with my two dogs. Usually, I think the longest I had to go, and this was Deuce, I had to go 5 days. He had been in a little backyard.
5
Someone
days.
bought him on Craigslist as a puppy, and now was like a year old, and he had been in a little, very small backyard. Had no one to play with, nobody to do anything
Right.
with. And he had so much pent-up energy. And I thought, you know what? I tried training him initially, and I was like, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm just going to I'm going to give him a couple days, and I'm going to let my dogs work with him. And then when he calms down a little bit, then I'll be able to get in there and do
so
that.
how many of those dogs that you took in that were on some sort of
Drug.
this anxiety medication, this is what I fucking
hate
hate,
it.
people. I'm telling you right now, it's a bunch of shit. 1,000%. And this is what your FF trainers are going to get into. They don't like me as an adverse trainer because my results are quick and I get things done. I fix problems. I fix anxieties. I fix separation anxiety. I fix marking territory. I fix aggression. It gets fixed, and it gets fixed quick. When I go to pure treat training and never correcting a dog, and it's all positive reward for just a change of behavior, the problem that you're going to get into is going to take months. Can you do it? Yeah. Nobody has 9, 10, 12 months to fix a dog. They're going to give up on that way before then and turn the dog in and be like, I'm done with it. Nobody's going to do that. But what happens is they start playing on your emotions and saying, oh, well, you're lazy. You don't want to take the long way, and you'd rather be adverse with your training and make the dog fearful of you and all this. And then what happens is they go right to meds. I see it all the time. They're like, yep. All of a sudden it's like, well, the training is not taking hold, so we probably need to use some anxiety meds on the dog. And the vets are more than happy to just start shoving them those meds. So out of all those dogs that came to you on meds, how many of them left your house on meds?
None of them.
Not a damn one,
And I didn't give any of them.
And they never got a drop of it,
They
did they?
never got a drop of it while they were with
We're
me.
going cold turkey, kids. Let's
Yep.
go.
Yeah, they were fine.
They were fine.
They were fine.
It's crazy, isn't it? Lazy is.
Yeah, well, people do it with their kids. I mean, tough
well,
love. You
what
got,
are we
you
gonna
know,
say,
tough
right? Of
love.
course.
So people put their kids on and everyone thinks everybody's so anxious. And I keep hearing about all these anxious dogs. I can't say any of my 40 fosters were anxious.
And that's what's amazing. You have
and
a
it's-
large, for a
I have a good
civilian that
sample
does not
size.
dog train, you have
Yeah.
a very good sample, because it's not only your 40 dogs, you deal or talk to all these other ladies that are fostering too
Yeah.
throughout the whole organization.
None of our dogs are on meds.
Isn't that crazy though? And I would bet, what's funny is I would bet a fairly decent percentage of them that come in are on them.
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that's crazy. I've got more dogs off of them than I have ever put on them. I guarantee you. Okay, we're going to talk about something interesting because it doesn't exist, and you're alluding to that it does. So again, I'm going to have to call bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. You
Okay.
probably have no idea what you're talking about because you are just a layperson. You are not a dog trainer. So you're not very good at this.
Okay.
When dogs come and stay at your house, you have 2 dogs, correct?
Uh-huh.
They are Tanner and Trapper. Mm-hmm. And you bring a new dog in.
Yes.
What happens?
Well, I usually try and have another adult there with me, and I do introductions very deliberately and slowly, one at a time.
Yep.
I usually start with Trapper because he's the chill.
He's chill.
He's the good cop. He's the fun guy.
Right.
And we're on leashes. Sometimes we have an outdoor kennel, so sometimes if we're a little bit nervous and we don't know the background of the other dog, that dog will be kenneled, and then they'll sniff through the kennel.
Sure.
We watch the body language of both dogs.
Nice.
We let them sniff each other's butts because that's how they meet. They have to
gotta
sniff
know who you are, what you're all about.
They have
Yep.
to do that, and then once that's done, it's usually fine. And
Well,
then
that's funny because dogs have evolved so much. Maybe humans should start
I know.
doing that too,
I
right?
hope we never have to do that. And we'll walk them sometimes around the yard
Yep.
on leash, side by side. And then when we both, me and the other adult, feel like, yeah, I think we're okay, I'll usually take my dog, who I trust, off leash first, and then we'll see what happens. And then we'll let the other dog off leash. And then I'll bring Tanner out. We'll put the other dog back on the leash, and I'll bring Tanner because he's my bad cop.
He's the enforcer.
He's the enforcer. And he'll come over and sniff and check the dog out a little bit and be kind of aloof.
Passive dominance.
And then he could care less about that dog. However,
dominance.
I call him the porch pirate because he will, this happens every time.
This is amazing.
Every time.
You were going to learn a lot about dogs just watching them, huh?
As soon as the dog tries to come up on the porch, headed to the front door, Tanner will run him off.
Yep.
And I let that happen for a day or two, and then I start to correct Tanner.
Right.
And then what's so funny is I'll come home and Tanner and the foster will be laying on the porch side by side together. Yep. So I know that's when Tanner has accepted them because they're allowed on the porch.
What is Tanner doing? What is he doing in the dog world?
I think he's establishing that he's the leader of the dog pack there and that his rules, you need to follow his lead. That's what I think. I think he's establishing.
Is that what you see? You've had 40 dogs come through there. Is that not what you see?
Every time.
Every
Every time.
He's very consistent.
Yeah. I trust
That's
the
100% what he's doing.
I
and you
trust
what?
the process. I always tell sometimes I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm like, okay. And I've even sent you a video or two of,
as you should, yeah.
Okay, they seem like they're playing, but I can't quite tell. But then I just tell myself, Michelle, just trust the process. My dogs know what they're doing. Tanner and Trapper
always
know what they're doing.
You know why they know what they're doing? Because they do dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not, they do dog, and that's what they are.
Yeah.
And that is so amazing that you can see it, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're not getting to know each other to be BFFs.
No.
They're getting
establishing pack.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see it, but that's the big thing going on right now. There's no such thing as an alpha, and there's no such thing as pack. Yeah, dogs don't do that anymore.
Oh, really?
They've evolved past that.
Oh, you're telling me that's the new training. The new training says
yes.
That? Yeah.
They say if you talk about alpha leadership or anything like that, you're crazy.
Oh.
Because it does not exist. It's scientifically proven,
Oh, is it?
It's science-based.
Tanner's alpha.
Yeah.
Is
that what you say to their science-based is bullshit?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
And
don't believe it.
Classy's she rolls right over. But then she jumps right back up, and she loves Tanner. She adores him. But
she adores leadership.
She does.
And that's the funny thing is if the owner would provide that, she'd love and adore them the same exact way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it drives me absolutely insane because you can see it. You can verify it. It's tangible. It's there. It's before your eyes. And it's repeatable. Mm-hmm. So it does exist. It is true.
Yeah.
And then, but again, why do you have to be so assertive and be so overbearing and be an alpha? That's what they're going to tell you. You have seen in your rescue. I'm trying to say this without saying anything. I probably shouldn't. Tito's getting to me. You've seen different styles of trainings.
Yeah.
Inside the organization.
Yeah.
Do they all work to some degree?
Yes.
I would agree with that, 100%. Are some more effective than others?
In the longer term, probably. I don't. I know that the other trainers that some folks in our rescue use, some are more similar to you. Some are more the positive, just positive, not corrective, or I'm not sure the just the praise ones.
Those are force-free.
Is that what FF is?
FF is force-free.
Okay. So that, yeah, those do take a lot longer.
Fucking friendly.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
I think it depends on the dog. Like, you met Bodie the other night, and
Yep.
you immediately knew what a soft,
Oh, yeah.
gentle giant he
Yes.
is. And I picked up, he's an 80-pound dog, and so when I first got him, I was using the prong collar, and I was correcting hard, physical, because he's 80 pounds, and I thought, I
boy.
got to get this boy under control. He was not responding.
No. Some dogs will
And
shut down from it, for sure.
And he did. And I
Yep.
could tell that. And my gut told me that. And this is the first dog out of the 40 that was really like this. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to back off
Yep.
a little bit. And we're going to go with more praise. He wasn't treat motivated.
Nope.
I'm going to go with more praise.
He's actually a little bit fearful and timid, so
Yeah.
a lot of those dogs are not food motivated at all.
He wasn't. And the prong call, the real hard correction wasn't
Working for him.
So I went softer with him because he's a soft dog. So, so there are some trainers that are softer, and the soft dogs maybe do well with that type of a
Agreed.
trainer.
Yep.
And maybe would be very fair, might not do so well.
Well, and that's the deal is
So you got to find the right trainer for your dog and
well,
you.
if the trainer's good, they're not going to change their message. I'll never change my message to the dog. It's going to always be the same, but I will change how I deliver it. 100% have to change how I deliver it sometimes because, I mean, I say it all the time with some people. Well, when I take someone's dog, like in a group class, and I start working it, I generally have to use a lot more praise and so, I use a lot of that body language and that verbal tone to shift to get the dog to go, all right, Michael's good. We're all right. We're all right.
right.
Michael's going to be okay. So that's the hard part, is teaching people how to do that. So the communication I use is dog motivated. It's dog centered. It's how dogs communicate with each other. So when I throw that back at them, the difference is, look at how Tanner, some dogs Tanner really gets after.
Yeah.
And other dogs, he just gives them a little growl and it's done.
Right.
So he's telling them the same message. He's using the same thing. He's just changing the delivery and how assertive it is. And that's 100% true. So a dog like Bodie, I come off a pinch collar and just go to flat collar. Something like that. I still establish my off-leash stuff the same way, but instead of the big no, maybe that no shuts down and no, as opposed to the big hard no that I would give like a dog that's totally out of control trying to kill another dog or something. So changing how the delivery comes out is more important than changing, for me anyway, because I know what I can do and I know what I do, and I've got the receipts to show I fix things. So that's super, super important too. What if you have a dog? Let's say you've got your list of trainers, okay, and you take in a dog to foster, and it's got some pretty severe behavioral issues.
Well, I'm going to call you.
Have you had those dogs with the bad behavioral issues go through your FF trainer?
We're pretty good at evaluating the dogs we bring into the rescue, and we do say no on the really bad behavior. Like if they're we'll bring one of our own dogs to the shelter or to the owner's, to a neutral place.
Yeah.
And, I trust Trapper. Sometimes I'll bring Trapper, depending on what I know about the other dog, or I'll bring Tanner, depending on what I know about the other dog, or both. And so we evaluate, and I will say no if the dog is just growling and reacting, and it's all teeth. And I had this situation. It was a dog out of the Alvarado shelter, and we tried, in the rescue, 3 different foster homes. I was driving back all over Fort Worth that long weekend trying to get this dog, who did fine with my 3. I had Dayla at the time, so I had a girl evaluate. I used Tanner and Trapper. She was fine, but in the 2 or 3 foster homes we put her in she's just too aggressive. And even at the shelter, they knew they couldn't put her up for adoption because of her aggressiveness, and she was fearful of men, which made placing her even more difficult. So that is an example of when we tried, but we said, no, we can't take her because we can't place her.
Okay, let me ask you this. Take away the dog had a problem with males. It was aggressive, right? Do you think if you would have brought that dog into your pack, it would have been manageable?
I would not have wanted to manage it by myself.
Could you have?
I don't know. I would be putting my
Fair
dogs
answer.
at risk.
Fair answer. So it was dog aggressive and people aggressive? Or did it just show dog aggressive, people aggressive?
It just showed. It reacted when it was out of the shelter environment. But when I brought 3 of my dogs to the shelter environment, and the handler there that she was familiar with, the ACO there, seemed like everything was okay. As soon as I put her in my car, and she was fine, and I walked her, introducing her to other foster homes within our rescue, and we were very selective in who we tried to put her with.
Right.
She just wouldn't stop barking at the other dogs. The other dogs were barking at her. I tried for 3 days, and this is kind of how we look at it in the rescue. You remember, we get over 30 emails a day.
Right.
And the shelters are calling us nonstop.
Right.
There's good dogs out there that need to be rescued.
That are much easier for you to place.
And
so at some point for you, it does become numbers. I get it.
And I'm sorry about that.
It's hard to say, huh?
Yeah.
But
she would have I would have been gone as a foster home for a year trying to fix her.
Well, the funny thing is, I will tell you this. Almost exclusive, I would say 95% of the time, the bigger, the badder, the meaner they act, the easier they fall. I get it all the time.
I guess it's kind of like the bully.
It's huge.
It's like
that
a bully.
dog,
I'm going to bully because I'm fearful, actually.
I will bet you $1 million that dog was just scared out of its damn mind. That's all it was. I guarantee you. Because what's funny is, so a couple dogs that are super, let's take Jagger. You know Jagger. Mm-hmm. How long do you think it took me to put him in his place?
I don't know.
30 seconds.
Really?
30 seconds. And he was done before I got him in the house. He was outside running around in the backyard. And when I opened the door, I'm like, watching him. As soon as he saw me, I mean, he would, I gave him a couple corrections outside. It wasn't even inside. And by the time he came inside, he was like, I'm just going to go sit on my bed now. My bad. He was done, like super fast, because he's super fearful.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. And he's fearful of men because some dude beat him with a baseball bat till he almost died. Right? So he's like, I damn well will kill you before you kill me.
Yeah.
But 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He was done. I get into that situation all the time. And the problem is you're not ever going to change a dog's behavior. You're always going to manage the behavior. So with a dog like that, it needs someone that's going to be strict. And it needs to be strict to provide structure for the dog so this dog feels safe and secure in its environment.
Yeah.
I need to know you're in control. If not, the dog lunging and barking and doing that is trying to control the situation. I'm too scared and fearful to go over and say, hi, my name's such and such. Would you like to pet me? Instead, I'm like, no, it's all going to be bad. So yes, it's the bully complex 100%, which is sad because then again, it's a fixable thing if we know how to fix it. The problem is it takes money, it takes time, and that's the two things people don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. And there's just too many dogs out there.
It's too easy to go somewhere else and do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's something. I mean, I don't even know what the answer is, but when you see all of those surrenders like that, it's just like, holy shit, people. What the hell? Why did you even get a dog if that's part of your mindset that might happen at some point?
Yeah. The rehoming on social medias. I mean, a lot of the pages, Facebook, I think, is now shutting groups down if people are out there rehoming dogs.
Well, shit, I saw it the other day. There's like rehome. Yeah, we need to get rid of our puppy. Da 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 da. There's a rehoming fee. I'm like, well, the hell are you talking about a rehoming fee? I mean,
well, you have to charge one, or Facebook will shut you down.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. You can't give it away. I hate when they use the word get rid of. And those people usually get pounced on. There'll be the comments from people like, oh, my God, would you get rid of your kids? And I have to hold back to say, could you just change the word rid to something else? It's not a piece of trash.
Right.
And I hate that. But it's just people are just, we have a saying in our rescue, we hate humans. But again, not all.
The more dogs I know, the more people I don't like.
Don't like. Yeah. But we all know there are, people go to jail, people die.
There are circumstances.
People get divorced
when it
and
happens.
It's sad, and so.
There's always going to be situations like that in life where life comes up and it makes it almost impossible to keep a dog.
Yeah.
But it seems like a vast majority of them are just like, Well, that one didn't work. I'll throw it to
Right.
the side and try again. And I think it's been years ago, but I think there was a survey done, and like it was something stupid, like 75% of people that get rid of dogs get another one.
Really?
Yeah, because they blame it on the dog. It's the dogs. That was just that was a bad apple. This one will probably be better. And what's funny is I actually have personal experience with that. Got a dog. I gave him some tips, tried to help him. He just didn't want to do anything. Oh, dog's terrible, eating my drywall, blah, got rid of it. Right? So they started with a rescue, and then they got one from a friend who had puppies and blah, 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 which might as well be a rescue because it was like an accidental. But had that dog for about a year, and it wasn't good, so got rid of it. And then the next thing, it's like 4 months later, he's like, yeah, I'm going out to such and such kennel.
Oh, God.
High dollar dog.
Oh, God.
He's
Well,
like,
because
oh,
of course the
oh,
pedigree
yeah.
is going to be a good dog.
And that's what they think.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, they go out and get this dog, and they're like, oh, this dog sucks, dude. I was like, it's aggressive. I was like, and funny thing was, it was a shepherd, and it came from a work line. And I was just like, for fuck's sake, dude.
I love the people
terrible.
that send their dogs off to board and train, and I know you do a board and train.
No, it
but
has its place. There's a lot of trainers out there that work on that premise, and it has its place. I'm not going to say anything, because I'm going to have some people on that mostly do board and train. They're going to be from all over the United States, and even Ivan does it over in the UK and stuff. So, but go ahead and tell me your experience.
I mean, it's just it's just that's fine. It's like sending your kid to boarding school and hoping that while they're gone, all their bad habits go away, and then they come back to the environment in which those bad habits were probably nurtured or created, and within a month or so they go back to their old way because mom and dad aren't doing anything. Yep. So if you're going to board and train, that's great, but you have to be trained as well. And what your trainer teaches you to do that he or she did with your dog, you have to do. And they just don't do it, and they pay all this money.
It's crazy. People pay a stupid amount of money
to board and train.
I've got I don't know if I told you guys about that, but there's a lady from New York whose dog, it lunged at, it didn't actually bite her grandkid, but it lunged at it and hit it with its teeth and kind of drew a little bit of blood. And I'm like, it's super fixable. It's like, I normally do in-home or something. Like, well, I saw you do a board and train. I was like, I do. I mean, you're still going to have to do the follow-up and work when it gets home and blah, blah. I can do that as long as I know that it's coming in that it's going to be fixed, and then I just maintain it. I'm like, all right, but I mean, we're like starting at like $3,600, and that's not flying the dog out here or any of that. And she just goes, okay, that's not bad. I'm like, oh shit, $4,600. I mean, but everybody wants the quick fix, and not thinking that they're going to have to follow through and do anything with it. And it's, I mean, people, my clients have heard me say it. Anything that's cheap and easy probably isn't worth anything. Mm-hmm. Nothing. What in life have you ever got that's cheap and easy and you were like, man, this is the best thing ever? You got to work for it. I mean, so if I do a K9 unit and I train this dog and it can sniff drugs and it can trail and track and find bad guys, and I put all this training into it, literally hours and hours and hours of training into it, you just don't sell it to the guy at the police department. He takes it out on the street and it works. He has to be trained. Right. He comes in and gets training. He learns how to run the dog. He learns what the commands are. He learns how everything about that dog and what he needs to do to maintain it so it can run at that level. So when I come from that background and I move to the civilian, I do the same thing. It's like, listen, this is the steps you have to do if you want the dog right here. I tell people, because the first thing they do is fill out like a list of goals, right? Mm-hmm. What do you want from Michael? Michael, I need my dog right here. I'm like, awesome. I need you right here. And they're like, well, and then what happens over the course of the few months is we go up and down about how much they want to do versus how good they want their dog. And it's amazing how quickly that changes. So yeah, you're right with board and train. I do get that a lot. After a couple months, the dog really starts to slack pretty bad. And that's the thing. It is super expensive. Most of board and trains in like the DFW area are about 3 times what my in-home package is.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
2 to 3 times. So why not just bring the guy in home, learn how to do it? But then, you know what people have to do?
They have to
do homework.
Yeah. When life gets in the way.
It does.
It does. I have a lot of spare time being semi-retired. So I can work with the dogs. I understand where people can't, but then maybe you should not have gotten a German Shepherd.
Shouldn't have got a dog,
Or a husky.
probably. Or oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. Huskies are above my pay grade.
They are fun. But yeah, it is weird how people think that there's no involvement on their house. Oh,
Right.
is this going to be a good dog?
Right.
Oh, I hear they're great family dogs.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's going to come into the family and be perfect.
Yeah.
Holy, I don't know. I deal with it all the time, too.
There's a nice little graphic that you can find out on the internet that talks about 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. And it's for any dog. And a lot of the shelters will have it handy and share it with someone who adopts a dog. And we share it with people who rescue from us. And it just talks about, that first 3 days, the dog's trying to figure things out.
Yep.
And it's going to be on its best behavior. It's the
Of
honeymoon
course it does.
period.
Yes.
It's like, okay, I don't know. And then they're going to start to feel a little bit more confident, and they're going to start, their personality is going to start to come out,
Yeah.
and then they finally settle in at 3 months. And so it's disheartening to us when a dog gets returned to us and it hasn't even been a month. It's like, okay.
Well, what's funny is you say settling in, but at the end of that time, what has the dog actually done?
He's decided he's going to run the pack.
He's established who runs the house.
Right.
And now the people are like, oh my gosh, he's crazy. He's out of control and blah, blah, blah. How many times have you had the dog at your house and the dog's like, great. And then you're like, he's doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, what?
Yeah. They'll
done
say,
that at
hey,
my
did
house.
so-and-so, I'm like, no.
Hell no, he didn't at my house. Why?
The environment matters, and I say that all the time. And I actually, I have a nice large property, and I have a quiet, calm home. And when one of my dogs goes into a home with 3 or 4 kids, and they're all under the age of 5, which we typically wouldn't do, but I mean, just the environment really matters. And so if there's yelling between the husband and wife, or if there's a lot of anger or just the negative energy.
Yep.
And because I've had a dog return to me because he was peeing and pooping inside the house.
Yep.
Well, that was a family, and I know there was some arguing going on between the husband and wife, and there were 2 little kids. And poor little Tucker, he came back to my yard and with Trapper and Tanner and never peed or pooped in my house. It was stressful for him in that environment that he was in. And they don't realize it.
No.
And so...
Well, it's not my fault.
Right.
Oh, it's not my
their
fault. It's definitely the dog's fault.
And then that's when they put him on the drugs and they crate him, and then it just compounds the issue with the dog. But it's the environment that they're in. So I do believe I have a nice, calm...
You do. It's great for fostering and training.
It's good for fostering and training.
For sure.
But once they go into someone else's home, and I've taught them the basic skills, it's up to that new family now. And hopefully I've got a well-adjusted, confident dog now that
moving into that scenario,
survive.
and then and that like you said, it's like once it gets in there, it's can you maintain it now? And what's funny is I people like worry about it. So there's always an initial training period where your time, effort, energy is going to have to be vested in the dog. But once you get to where you want to be, the management of that becomes easy. If your dogs go 3 or 4 days without running the property because of bad rain or whatever, and
they're fine.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
If we can throw wrenches into it and the dog's okay, it can manage and work through those without adverse behavioral problems cropping up. And that's what people have to understand is I always tell them, it's like if you get a puppy, it's not your pet. It's a project. Give me 7 months with that dog, and you will enjoy it for a lifetime. But can you give me 7 months, right? It's funny how few people can actually give. They'll buy a $3,500 dog and not be willing to put in 30 minutes a day with it to train it. Absolutely insane to me. But yeah, I agree with you that how that family operates and what's going on inside can cause a lot of stress on a dog, especially if I ever have a nervous or timid dog and then I've got yelling, or if I got kids running around throwing stuff everywhere, jumping off the back of the couch. Well, so I'm going to tell you a little tip. Okay, I've learned this. I walk into a house and I just look at the kids. If the kids are out of control, I'm like, yep, that dog don't stand a chance. Not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
If the kids are bouncing off the couch, the dog will be too in about a week.
Yeah, because the parents are no structure,
no
discipline,
no boundaries, no
for the kids. So certainly not the dog.
They're certainly not going to do it with a dog, and then wonder why.
And then the dog's going to bite one of the kids,
and that's always what happens.
And then the dog's going to have to be put down.
Yeah, always. This just drives me insane. What's so scary and sad is I would say 95 to 98% of all dogs that are surrendered could stay in the home if they just had training.
I think so too.
And that's a sad stat, I think, but I believe it with all my heart. I mean, I threw them all out there the other day. I stacked up all the receipts from the last 4 years. I've trained over 1,000 dogs in 4 years. None of them didn't respond. I mean, every last one of them responded. Every last one of them got better. Every last one of them was in a good place. And there were some, out of it, you did 40 dogs and have run across a couple, you're like, holy shit. How many think you run across when you do 1,000? I've seen some stuff. And I mean, it's manageable if people want to put that time into it. And that's what's sad is this day and age, it's like, if I can't get what I want right now, then
instant. It's got to be instant.
Screw it. Get away. I'm done. I don't understand people sometimes. So what is your 2 cents of advice to people out there that might be listening? And because if they're listening to the podcast, more than likely by this time they're like, I need training tips. I'm worried. What? Tell me the truth about training and blah blah blah. What is your 2 cents to someone that just got a dog or is thinking about getting a dog or whatever? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to hire a trainer, especially if it's one of the high working breeds, high energy working breeds. Hire a trainer. They're not that expensive, and you pick. Either go to group training or individual in home or go somewhere.
What's funny is my prices are fairly high. I recently found out one of my clients started training dogs.
Who?
Started her own dog training.
Oh, really?
Oh. And I guarantee you my prices are probably 6 times what hers are.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do it.
Very interesting. It was
offer
interesting
for
when
free.
I saw that come up on my social media feed.
Oh.
But what are you going to do, right?
Hey, well, your training techniques work, and
But even as expensive as I am, which is not out of the realm for honestly, most middle-class families can afford me. Mm-hmm. But that amount of money that you're spending with that trainer is the least amount of money you will spend on that dog throughout a lifetime.
Right, exactly.
Right? So if you get somebody that gives you lifetime access to them, that's a minuscule amount if you figure out what it is. I don't care if it's $3,000 and you divide it over 10 years. Right. It's not that much.
Right.
Right? So, but people don't look at it that way.
Well, yeah.
Because it's that upfront investment.
Right. But, divide it by, assume your dog's going to live at least 10 years.
Right.
And then things are going to happen in your lifetime, your life, that the dog is going to maybe have, something's going to change in the environment.
Yep.
And you're going to want to be able to call somebody to say, okay, can you come back out and just look, something's changed.
Yep.
And just the peace of mind of knowing that you're there for the life of the dog, to me, makes a lot of sense. But it is a high upfront charge. But I think people don't realize that if they go to PetSmart and spend here and they pay $150 here and $300 here,
they're going to do,
it adds up, and you don't have
PetSmart 1, 2, 3, and 4 at $150
is more
a piece.
than what they're going to pay you, and you come to the house.
That's what's unique. Is I am such a firm believer that the longer that I do this the way I do it, the more I believe that that's the way it needs to go. I mean, I can remember training personnel to run dogs or handle dogs in the past. It was like, that's got to be done for it to be any sort of relationship or any sort of way that's going to work. So it only made sense when I started doing all this on the civilian side. I was like, I need that human to understand exactly what I need from them, exactly how to do that, and then be able to put my hands on them and go, no, this needs to be here, this needs to be here, you do this, you do that. And it helps them work through it, because in the end, if they can't do it, they're not going to be successful with it.
No, and I'm just so happy where I can take Trapper and Tanner and what I can do to help all of these foster dogs. And you equipped me with that knowledge, and I do use it. And, just basic obedience whenever somebody's struggling. And it's the first thing is get them to walk on a leash. And they need to walk without being a drunken sailor or a yo-yo.
Yep.
And then the sit. I mean, people are, I taught my dog to shake, and they roll over and they play dead.
Lord.
And I'm like, okay,
What does that do you?
What does that
what
do?
good does that do you? What
But
bit does that, right? I'm gonna take it to the park and walk around. Oh,
Yeah,
Fluffy,
yeah.
shake. No, Fluffy's too busy barking at the damn
Right.
dog walking over there because it doesn't know any better.
I do not want my dogs barking. I do not like,
hate the
and
shake.
when I go out, I've been walking my dogs almost every day this summer. Every morning I get up early and I either take Trapper and Tanner or I've been taking Classy. And I'm just so proud that I can just walk anywhere and I don't see approaching dogs
Anywhere.
and I'm not afraid. And I know I got this, and I know my dogs have it. They don't make a peep. The other dogs lunge at us and growl and bark at us, and the owners are like, "Oh no, don't do that! Oh, good boy, don't be stop. And I'm like,
no, we don't do
I was
that.
like,
oh God, you
I
like
was
when I go
like,
over there and slap.
I
Dog,
know.
you two stay. I'm gonna be right
I
back.
know.
And then walk over and smack them in the
Just-
face, and then grab your dogs and leave.
yeah."
How much do your dogs weigh?
Trapper's about 70, and Tanner is 60, and Classy's 60.
Okay,
So I walk 70
and
and 60 around my waist, hands free on a tandem. They walk and
Yeah.
and
So
That's
this is what's funny. So a dog is super capable of pulling. That's why sled dogs run at a very high speed. They're harnessed up, obviously not on the neck, whatever, but dogs are made to pull. Low center of gravity, 4 legs, they're machines. A 70-pound dog can pull a 225-pound man all around the park. I promise you, we've seen it before. We've seen it every day, right? So you've got 130 pounds of
in
dogs
front of me, yeah.
on your attached to your waist, walking next to you. They could drag you from here to
Yeah.
Wyoming if they wanted to, and not even
Squirrel.
feel it, right? But yet you feel comfortable.
Yes.
You feel empowered.
I know.
You feel
And I can
Good.
stop and they will sit. If I have
Be-
to tie my shoe, and I
tie my shoe,
I have to
get
tie
a
my
drink of
shoe,
water,
they will sit.
whatever,
I don't have to
right?
worry about them going in 18 different directions while I'm trying to tie my shoe.
And being a female out walking, how good does it make you feel having like 2 sentinel shepherds, one on
Yeah.
each side of you walking down?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Not.
I
people
do
don't mess
carry
with you.
mace.
Well,
I
of
do carry
course.
mace for the dog, for the stray dog
That's
that may
what's so
run up
stupid.
to us. I do carry mace to spray another animal that may come up to us. But I'm not worried about a human.
Okay, so we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Good Shepherd Rescue. You are headquartered in Texas.
North Texas, out of Dallas.
North Texas.
North
we
Texas.
are in North
we
Texas.
are North Texas Rescue.
Where will you send dogs to? How far away?
Oh, well, we got one living in New York.
Okay.
I've got a couple that are in Arkansas, Kansas, and Louisiana, mostly around Texas. Now, we won't pay to transport them.
Right.
That's on the people to come here. We can't afford to.
Sure.
We have our money
It's a
needs to be
nonprofit.
spent It's a
Absolutely.
nonprofit.
Absolutely. How do they get in touch with you? How do they see what kind of dogs you have right now?
We have a website that's
Okay.
Good Shepherd Rescue of Texas, and we also have a Facebook page, Good Shepherd Rescue of Texas, and our albums of the adoptable dogs are out there, and we have adoption events. And we got one coming up this Saturday and next Saturday. So usually once or twice a month around the Metroplex area, either at a Petco, Pet Supplies Plus, or at a home.
Nice.
We will have adoption events, and
Is any of that on a website or a Zoom
Yes,
or
it's
anything?
all
So
webs-
they can they see the adoption going on? Do you guys have anything set
No,
up like that
we
yet?
do not.
If they want to meet a dog, can you do like a Zoom with them or whatever?
we
so they
could.
can
We have. Nobody's asked to do that.
well-
Yeah, we will do meet and greets. If somebody was interested in Classy, for example, they could come to my house, or I could go
Awesome.
meet them somewhere. So we take lots of videos and pictures that
Awesome.
we share. You do fill out an application to get approved, and then you are eligible to adopt dogs from us.
Awesome. So now we know you want a German Shepherd. Get hold of Michelle.
Oh God, and
Good Shepherd Rescue.
We got beautiful dogs. I tell you what,
here it comes. Here comes the sale,
we
guys.
can't
Here it comes.
guarantee they're purebreds, but I'm telling you, there are some good-looking
Hey,
dogs.
just make sure to go. Hey, if the foster was Michelle, I want
Yeah.
one of her dogs. They're already trained.
they're trained.
I guarantee you they know how to walk. I can promise you that. They're not going to jump all over you and be crazy. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I do really appreciate it. You have done some wonderful things. I'm never. I'm at a lack of words for what you do. It is really cool.
Well, I can only do it because of you.
Well,
so
I
thank you.
appreciate that. So you're making a difference, and that's what it's about in this world, is making a difference and being positive and being a positive light in a negative world that we live in, it seems like. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in and watching. We're going to be back next week, as always. Don't know who we're going to have on yet. It's always going to be a surprise, so that means you're going to have to tune in. So I thank you. It's Michael Hoskinson with K9 Control, and this has been K9 Convos. We will see you next time.